Hello, welcome back to my channel and to today's video where I am going to be sharing my version of a winter footwear capsule collection. So first of all, it's worth me mentioning for any of you that may be new here, hello and welcome, that my style revolves around being practical and comfortable. I'm just at an age now, the tender age of 39, where I value those two things very highly. And I firmly believe that you can look and feel good whilst incorporating comfort and practicality within your wardrobe. So let's get stuck in. Now, during the winter months, I do tend to bid a temporary farewell to footwear like ballet flats and even loafers, just because I don't find them warm enough and I favour boots. So this video is going to be a little more boot heavy, but I think that's probably a given and most of you guys will probably feel or lean the same way when it comes to the winter months. So boot number one would be a casual boot. And for me personally, casual boots are the most worn from my entire footwear collection throughout the winter months. And that's because I work from home, so therefore I'm mainly wearing loungewear. I don't necessarily need or have to have a smarter wardrobe for, let's say, work for an office job or somewhere where you need to dress a little bit smarter and not necessarily in a pair of joggers and a big slouchy jumper. Now, my tips for your casual boot for your wardrobe would be to go for a colour that's really versatile for your particular wardrobe. For me, the most versatile colours tend to be browns and other neutrals, along with black. I love my blacks. So Ugg boots and other sort of suede and furry lined boots like this are a great option, but obviously down to personal preference. I know a lot of people really don't like the look of traditional Ugg boots. I am one of them. I just think that they look like slippers and therefore I'm happy to wear them at home, but not really out and about. So you can get some more sort of smarter, more proper shoe footwear looking options that do have a nice fleecy or furry lining inside. But then I also have these which do look a little bit more like an Ugg boot, but they just have that chunkier, more substantial, big lug sole. So I feel like they're a little bit more appropriate for wearing outdoors in the wintertime. Now, the obvious flaw with a pair of suede or sheepskin boots is, of course, practicality. You do really have to keep on top of that suede and sheepskin protector. If that's something that's maybe a little bit too much for you, or perhaps you live in an area where you do have substantial amounts of rain throughout the winter months, then perhaps a slightly more practical option would be better for you. Like leather. Now, leather is so much easier to clean and there are lots of options currently available if you are looking for a pair of leather boots, potentially with a warmer lining inside so that they can keep your toes nice and cozy. Now, my top tip for any pair of boots, and this is something that I've mentioned before, I mentioned this in my most recent practical tips for winter video, and that is to size up in your boots. I'm a half size, so it's quite easy for me because normally on the high street or a lot of shoe brands, they don't offer half sizes. Therefore, I have to go up to the nearest whole size and therefore I'm sizing up by only half a size. But by sizing up in your boots, it allows for thicker socks, whether they be Uniqlo heat tech socks or thick wool or cashmere socks, any kind of thicker socks that's going to prevent your feet from getting cold, therefore helping to regulate your body's temperature. Boot number two in my capsule collection for winter would be a smarter boot. I was about to say a Chelsea boot, but the sort of generalisation would be a smarter boot. And this may be if you have a workwear wardrobe and you do need smarter footwear for work or just for smarter occasions in general, or if like me you just like to elevate your outfits, you know, every now and then with smarter pieces. But my advice or my sort of go-to boot for being in the smarter boot category would always be a Chelsea boot. These are not only a great option for winter, they are ideal for autumn and spring, and they will be such a hard-working, and forgive me because I know this is a bit cliche, but a hard-working wardrobe staple, wardrobe essential, whatever you want to call them, for your wardrobe. I just think a Chelsea boot is an absolute classic. They don't date, and there are so many options out there as well. So there's pretty much something for everyone. Whether you have a very sort of minimalist style like me, and therefore you just want to go for something very basic. Black leather, a nice slim fit, the traditional elasticated sides with the pull-on style. Or perhaps you have a slightly bolder style and you want to go for a coloured Chelsea boot that fits in better with your wardrobe. Or it could even be a print like leopard. There are so many different options available, and it is such a good classic and therefore a very good investment. Boot number 3 is a knee-high option. Now, this can depend on your own personal style. It could be a heeled option, it could be a flat option like this one. So for me, a knee-high boot is going to replace heels, for example, for wearing something a little bit smarter and something for, I don't want to say a night out, but perhaps for a Christmas party or a Christmas meal, something where I need to dress up a little bit more. Because my days of wearing heels on a regular basis or even a semi-regular basis are over. I have one pair of heeled boots and a couple of pairs of pretty low-heeled sandals, and that for me is enough. Now, the beauty of swapping out your heels for boots throughout the winter months is that you can wear socks inside. So even if it's a pair of stiletto boots or high-heeled boots, you can still wear socks to help to keep your feet warm. You could still even put a sheepskin insole in there if you are following my top tip of sizing up in your boots. They're just a much more practical option for keeping your feet warm and your legs warm when it comes to the winter season if you size up, and you can add those layers inside. Moving away from boots for just a moment, and I'm going to trainer option number 1. Now, I am a big trainers girl. Again, I'm going back to practicality and comfort. They tick both of those boxes every single time. Now, trainer number 1 would be a classic pair of very minimal white leather trainers. The reason for this, not only do they work well in the winter time, but they work so well, so they're a valuable addition. Again, I know I'm coming out with all these core phrases, but they're another valuable addition to my wardrobe in general. Spring, summer, autumn, and with them being leather, it makes them easier to clean. Now, for me personally, I have quite a minimal wardrobe, so therefore I like relatively minimal things. And for this particular pair of white trainers, my top tip is to go for a pair that aren't necessarily by a sports brand. These are just from M&S. They are genuine leather. As you can see, they've got a slightly chunkier sole, so they add a little bit more detail to them rather than just being super, super basic. But there's no branding on there. And that's something that I really appreciate, especially when it comes to creating outfits that perhaps you just want to elevate a little bit slightly, but still have the comfort and practicality of a pair of trainers. Now, because I am a big trainers girl, hypothetically speaking, if I were to have a capsule wardrobe, I would give myself a second trainer option. Now for this second option, I would go for maybe a different fabric. So here I've got 2 suede options, and I would even go for a different colour, just to give myself more variation within my wardrobe. A girl's got to have options. So here I have 2 very seasonally appropriate colours. I've got a burgundy and I've got this brown, and also both with gum coloured soles as well. So I'm not saying you need 2 options, I'm just giving you some examples here. Now you could have a slightly bolder style. Unlike me, I'm a little bit more neutral. I like my blacks and my cool colours, but if you like your bolder colours, you could again go for like a leopard print trainer, or you could go for something in a bolder colour, a red, a blue, a green, a yellow, an orange. I'm trying to think of all the bold colours. They don't come naturally to me. But you know what I'm saying. You could add something that just injects that bit of colour into your wardrobe and that fits in with how your personal style is. Now, I would avoid any styles that are predominantly mesh. New Balance 530s, just off the top of my head, have a lot of mesh. They're breathable, but they don't provide enough warmth, or for me personally, throughout the coldest months months in winter. So with that in mind, if you did want these to just be a winter sort of trainer in your collection, you could always size up in whatever it may be so that you can allow for sheepskin insoles or thermal insoles and or thicker socks. Now, along the same sort of lines, there are also a lot of options that I've seen recently of trainers which do already have a furry lining inside. I've seen some by Phasia, I've also seen some Converse, and I myself have a pair of taller leather Converse that have a furry lining inside. So if you didn't want to add in extra items like insoles and socks, there are some available with a more thermal lining already. And now onto my final option within my hypothetical capsule footwear collection for winter, and that would be a pair of snow boots. Now, I suppose these are an option that you could either give or take, because here in the UK, or at least here where we live in Kent, we don't always get snow every year in winter. We might get it for a day or two. Sometimes it lingers, sometimes it doesn't, but we certainly don't have consistent snow throughout winter. However, frost we do have on a very regular basis, daily, more often than not, throughout winter. And so that is when I find I get the most use and the most wear out of my snow boots. Now, typically snow boots haven't always been deemed the most attractive of footwears, shall we say, but I do have two brands that I would recommend, which I personally like their styles and designs of. The first of which is Sorel or Sorel. I'm not really sure how you're supposed to pronounce it, but it's this brand here with the polar bear. Now, these are the Torino 2 boots, I think, from memory, if I've got that right. I have them in black, but they do come in a whole range of colours. They've got some really nice lighter neutrals, but they've also got higher styles, lower styles, more sort of trainery styles as well. And they have really good qualities like being waterproof, which of course is essential for being a snow boot. Really good grip as well, which is not only good for snow, but also for ice. And then they have thermal lining. Now, my second brand recommendation would be FitFlop. So these are the Hiker D walking boots. I think I've got that name right. And these are a pair of boots that I've spoken about a lot recently. We did a recent collaboration, full disclosure, with FitFlop around these boots, but they are such a good pair of boots. Again, they've got all that thermal interlining, a nice fleecy, cozy interior. They're good for just day to day because as a style, I know they're a little bit chunky and maybe chunky might not be your thing, but they are just a very sort of minimal lace up boot. There's no bells and whistles going on here. And just like the Sorel boots, they have been really easy to integrate in with my wardrobe and daily outfits. Right, there we go. So I had 6 options within my hypothetical capsule collection of footwear for winter. If there's anything you would have, if there's anything you think that I missed within the capsule collection that you would like to add in or anything you'd like to take out, let me know your suggestions because it's all going to be personal based on your lifestyle, your needs, and of course your personal style. But let me know down in the comments. But for now, that is it from me. Thank you as always for watching, and I will see you next time.